All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or wherever your stays may be. Welcome to today's webinar, where we take a look at why we think for network officials or network uh, kind of operations experts and IT professionals, why having a network map is the secret weapon. My name is Kevin Jackson. I am the technical solutions consultant from Help Systems by way of the Intermapper product. And again, I thank you for joining me today, and hopefully we can provide you some information that you can deem a little helpful. So today's agenda, we'll talk about why we think network maps are important. We'll take a look at one of the bigger challenges that IT professionals face due to the lack of network visibility. We'll talk a little bit about how the right solution can improve your network efficiency, and then we'll take a live look at our product, the Intermapper software, and see what it looks like and what it can do. And then if we have some time thereafter, we'll take some quick Q&A. If you have questions, please send those within the chat window located on the lower right. So in terms of this concept, right, using pictures for visuals to understand data, this has been around for centuries. So fun fact, the first use cases for maps were actually used in military situations. But also think of how far we've gotten and how far we've gone, right? And when you used to kind of plan a road trip, you used to use an atlas. Now, instead of using paper atlas or book atlas, you can GPS your destination or GPS your trips. So it was the progression of technology that really accelerated what we can do with visualization. So as the data requirements start to increase and our technology infrastructure started to become more complex, we needed to be able to improve our support of it. So there's many reasons why it's important to have network visibility. And today we'll just kind of talk about a handful of those reasons. So why network maps? First and foremost, the first thing and probably the most important thing, if you look at different polls within the industry, most IT professionals realize that not having network visibility is always an hindrance to their profession and what they can do. So visibility is key, the ability to identify those areas of concern or areas of need, but also to be able to see at a glance the overall scope, the overall network health, and then you can use that information to see where your areas of need are, and you can also use that as tangible information and tangible evidence that you can use to provide to bolster your case to make specific recommendation. And then these other kind of reasons are kind of ancillary reasons where it kind of helps with that network visibility. So, in terms of having an automated discovery function built into your map, this allows you to kind of understand where things need to be placed or where things are and how they're kind of laid out and located. So this alleviates the need to kind of waste that time to create these manual diagrams. Obviously there's technology that you can use like Visio and we have all used Visio to create these manual constructions and diagrams, but it becomes very tedious to kind of keep that documentation up to date. So having a software that can do that automated discovery and kind of pinpoint where these devices are sitting and what they're connected to and how they're laid out, whether from a layer 3 or a layer 2 perspective, I think can be very helpful in terms of overall understanding. And then built into to these products, you want to have some kind of dynamic functionality where you can use this information to capture real-time information and performance metrics that are important to you. So what this does for you is this allows you to see these devices and their behaviors and whether they're hitting specific thresholds or where the areas of concerns are. So this allows you to kind of hit those panic buttons a little quicker and then troubleshoot those issues before it becomes a business critical issue. So the bottom line is you want to be proactive versus being reactive. And being proactive, you need to be able to have some foresight into seeing what's going on with your network. And then one of the key kind of reasons is if you move around from location to location, or if you move around from job to job, one of the issues that you come across is not having the proper documentation, or basically trying to get people up to speed as quickly as possible to understand the scope of their network, right? So if you go into a new team, they need you to kind of get up to speed in terms of what you are basically responsible for. Or if you move to another location, you need to get up to speed in terms of how that technology is laid out. So again, having documentation, in terms of kind of a map layout and how things are kind of laid out and working dynamically, allows you to kind of ease into new environment and take on those challenges. And then the last but not least is you want to make this, these network diagrams, you want to make them intuitive. You want to make them customizable. You want to be able to kind of lay out the maps however you see fit, whether you want a high level map or whether you want a map that's specific to a specific business group or location or region. So you have the ability to kind of customize your views and your maps however you want. And I think that gives folks a lot of comfort in terms of at least understanding what they're in charge of and what they're looking at. So as I mentioned, there's definitely concerns and challenges for IT professionals who don't necessarily have that visibility that they require. And the biggest challenge is always kind of that financial challenge. Studies have shown, in terms of just if you look at the financial aspects of network downtime, you can calculate how much a business can lose. So Information Week did a survey a while ago, and it kind of went towards calculating how much it costs, on average, on certain companies when they have these critical downtime. And as you can see, some industries, $42,000 an hour for some of the larger industries, that's a lot of money. That equates to a lot of money that they are responsible for, and a lot of money they're losing. And over the last few years, there's been a lot of these larger customers or larger companies, that have had some outages that has affected them financially. I remember VMware had an outage with their cloud infrastructure, and they really kind of had a black eye on their services function. I remember there's been some outages from a few airline carriers who instead of having up-to-date equipment, they had old equipment sitting at critical points within their infrastructure, and that kind of affected them as well. So it's not just the financial aspect that you're affected when there's network downtime, is also that the aspect of that black eye on your brand, right? So if you have issues with the brand, that can affect you negatively as well. And if you're a smaller institution, you can't necessarily afford that kind of downtime. You want to make sure that you're always prepared and you're always covered. So this cost of downtime was an interesting calculation that they use, and anyone can use this calculation to kind of get an idea of what it would cost if your business would experience some type of outage because of, again, lack of coverage or lack of network visibility. So how can the right solution help you improve your network efficiency? There's a lot of solutions out there within the space, and it's up to you as an IT professional to kind of identify and engage what solution is best for your organization and your business. So in terms of just having the right kind of progress and the right steps and the right things to kind of keep into consideration, you want to definitely have some type of real-time monitoring and visual mapping solution. And again, this allows you to be able to not just getting the overall view of what your network looks like, but also getting those performance metrics that's important, right? So, having both into one product is always a nice draw as well. And then you want to leverage the right kind of technology using SNMP to simple network management protocol to capture those different performance metrics from the various devices that you are working with. That's always key. SNMP provides you with a lot of really good information in terms of just overall health and monitoring traffic and bandwidth utilization, which is always key on the network side. And then using flows technology, if applicable within your environment, if you have, routers, firewall switches that support NetFlow, SFlow, or JFlow, that technology can really give you a good understanding of bandwidth usage and consumption, which is always very important. And that what that does for you is that gives you, again, that tangible information where you can use to make recommendations whether you need to improve bandwidth because of performance issues, or whether you need to throttle bandwidth if within your environment it's kind of using it not for business purposes. And then the mapping functionality, layer 3 and layer 2 mapping. Layer 2 allows you to see those interconnects between the devices and their respective endpoints, or you can see the interconnects between the switches. So you can get a really accurate depiction of how your layer 2 network is associated on the back side, right? So you can see what's connected there. And then this also helps you to be able to optimize your devices. We basically want to make sure that all our technology, our infrastructure, is optimized to be working out, at the way we want it to. So, you have thresholds that are running at optimal levels, and you can use a network monitoring tool to ensure that those devices remain at the optimal level. And if they're not, then you can be alerted and notified, and then you can take those corrective actions. So why do we think Intermapper is the right solution? First and foremost, the product is easy to use. We play nicely with other products. We can be the front end for larger management solutions, where we can do the mapping and the monitoring, and then the larger solutions can be used to do some corrective actions and kind of more of the heavy lifting. We're able to manage those remote sites. So if you have multiple sites, if you're a small kind of a shop where you have multiple locations and you don't necessarily have boots on the ground, you can still have Intermapper running and monitoring those sites, and you can even use some of the built-in command line functionality to even execute some tasks, some basic tasks, to do some actionable and corrective function as well. Most importantly, we can hit those problems before they become critical. So if you can see the problems, or you can see the gradual progression or digression of your devices, you can hit those devices before they become a critical event. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to, with our visibility and our visual aids, help you to reduce those costs and that's associated with downtime. That's the big key, is trying to alleviate the network downtime. Help forecasting IT budgets, essentially kind of going back to providing that tangible information and being able to monitor your core infrastructure. This will give you an idea of how your network is kind of progressing, how your network is working, whether your network is running efficiently. You can monitor links and interfaces. You can see where possible bottlenecks and bandwidth kind of congestion might be, and this can help you forecast whether you need to kind of inject new technology into your network to improve. And then as I mentioned, proactivity is the key. Proactivity is the key to ensuring a healthy network. If we see things before they happen, if we don't have our users coming to us telling us that things are down, that makes for, again, a better experience from the end user side, but also for us, we're able to kind of sleep a little nicer when we know everything is running the way it's supposed to. And the product is a low cost, high rewards. If you look at the features and functions built into the Intermapper solution versus our where we sit, cost wise, I think we are very competitive with that, and provide you with a really good, tightly packaged product with solutions that can support your day to day. So what I'll do is I'm going to take a look at a live demonstration, but before I do that, I just want to kind of let you guys know that we do have a free 30-day trial on our website. So if you haven't done so already, please take advantage of the free trial. We also have a free 10 for free device license. It's just the Intermapper monitoring software. It doesn't include our remote access client or our flows component, but it's free. You can use that software to monitor 10 devices, any 10 devices you want to. So you can also take advantage of that and see how well that software works, and then hopefully you can upgrade to a more permanent solution. But again, please take a look at the product. It's on our site, 30-day trial, or the 10 for free license. So what we'll do right now is we'll take a look at a couple of different maps. So we'll just do a live demo. So I'm just going to pull up. First, I like to pull up this main map. So this is just a map of my test network. Now, this map is your layer 3 map. You can see all my subnets. I have various devices, and all these devices are associated with this particular subnets. I have remote offices. I have that sits off of that particular subnet. I have a second subnet that's running within my network that has a few devices. So you can set up your map to see the devices that's connected to those various subnets. So this is one map that you can utilize or you can set up. Second map is just if you have a bunch of just regular devices that you want to monitor. So this is just a regular map that has a number of different types of devices. Not necessarily monitoring subnets or network per se, but I want to monitor individual components that I'm interested in. So I'm able to monitor switches or firewalls. So the benefit of the Intermapper solution is our ability to essentially monitor anything with an IP address. So as long as it's is IP enabled, we can monitor that device. We primarily utilize SNMP or ICMP to do discovery, and then we can use various probes based on what the devices support to capture performance metrics information about those devices. So again, as long as the device supports IP technology, we can add those devices to a map. And then another type of map is we can do submaps, and submaps are just basically you can create drill downs into specific locations. So say, for instance, you have multiple offices or multiple resources or business units, and you just want to be able to see a high level map. So you can create these submaps, and if you need to, you can just drill down into those local maps. So here you can see I have 6 submaps from 6 different locations. I have a map that shows my WAN infrastructure. I have a map that shows my devices that's running in my New Hampshire office. So these are the devices that's running locally, that's being monitored locally. And the nice thing about the submap is we will always show you the most severe event that's local to that site. So you can see that there's some issues at my New Hampshire office, and there's some issues at my Chicago site as well. And then if I want to double click on my demo wireless map, it opens up my wireless map, and I can see the infrastructure running within that environment. So this allows you to create that high level map without having to have everything kind of disseminated over the map, and you could just kind of drill down. So this is nice and clean. And then as issues arise, excuse me, you can just drill down into that map as well. So what we'll do really quickly is I just want to show you how we can create a really quick map and do a little bit of customization. First, it's just a blank map, and I can add a few devices to this map. So there's a few ways that you can add devices. You can either do you can add devices manually, or you can add devices using a subnet, or you can add devices using our auto discover feature, where you can set up a starting address or an IP range scan. So let's go ahead and do auto discovery with an IP range scan, and we'll just add the first 25 devices to this map. They're all Interisys switches that's running SMP version 1 with a string of public. So we'll go ahead and run that discovery. And then Intermapper is one of the faster scanning engines out there in the market. What we really focus on is really going out there and identifying those devices and scanning those devices and adding them to the map. So we try to do that as quickly as possible so we can start giving you immediate feedback into what's going on with those particular devices. So when we do our scan, we'll build out kind of a default map. And then once we build that default map out, you can then start to do your customization. So as you can see here, this is your logical layer 3 diagram. All our devices are associated with this subnet respectively. And then from here, you can do different kind of formatting features. If you don't like the oval as your subnet, you can use our built-in icon. You can change it to a wire, and then we can kind of do our thing here, and then we can move things around. And you can mess with we have some built-in defaults, so you can change the defaults in terms of how the software does its initial scan, whether you want it to add a specific component or a specific icon. You can do that as well. So you can kind of lay out your map, and then we have some built-in icons that we provide for you. So if you know what those devices are, you can utilize the icons built in, and you can also import your own icons. So if you have icons that you want to use, you can import those icons as well. As well as background images. If you have background images that you want to import, maybe you have an office floor plan, or you have a Google Maps that you want to see kind of a high level view, you can import that as well into the product. So there's a number of different options that you can utilize to kind of get the map to look however you want it to. So that's the beauty of the product, is to be able to customize your map and lay it out the way you want it to. And then last but not least, let's take a look at a layer 2 map just to show you what it looks like. So the difference between our layer 3 and layer 2 is you can see that our layer 2 map no longer has subnets associated with the devices. So essentially what happens is when you run the layer 2 scan, we remove all the subnets, and then we make the association, or we attempt to make the association based on us looking at things like the forwarding database tables or the CDP or LLDP tables. We attempt to make the association with the switches and their respective endpoints. So as you can see here, I have my main switch, and we have endpoints associated with that switch. So we make that association on the map. And then we also provide you with an output called a layer 2 table. So the layer 2 table is where you can look to do some filtering. If you're trying to troubleshoot or find a specific endpoint connected to a specific device, if you have some issues, maybe some spanning tree issues or some looping issues that you want to kind of see, if we can identify that, you can do that filter on this particular layer 2 window. So here you can filter on a specific IP address, and then we'll identify what switch and what port it's associated with. So let's say we do a 1.60. So this particular IP, we know it's connected to this baseline switch here. It's connected to port 29. This is the MAC address of that particular device. The DNS information, if we can resolve that information, we'll provide that information for you. If we can resolve and identify the manufacturing information based on the system object information that SNMP provides, we'll provide that information as well, and then kind of give you some information in terms of when we last saw that device. So you can do some filtering on IPs, you can do filter on MAC address, you can do filter on VLANs or NIC manufacturers. And then down at the bottom here, it's our switching kind of connection. So we can show you the switch-to-switch connections, what protocols we're using to kind of make those association, or what we're looking at to make those association, and so you can identify that information. So that would be the layer 2 table, and this would again would be what the layer 2 map would look like. So no subnets are on this map. It's just devices, switches, and their respective endpoints connected to each other. So those are kind of a few different maps that just an example of different layouts and different visuals that you can utilize. And the nice thing also is we show you some animation, so you can see the flow of traffic on your devices. You can also create real-time charts from those information. So if we want to see a chart of this particular interface, we can create a chart, a utilization chart. So we can create that real-time chart to see everything at a glance. We can add multiple interfaces or multiple data sets into a single chart. So we can see how different components or different data sets are trending against each other. We have some historical information here. So if you want to go back, maybe a couple of months in time to see, what was going on a few months ago at a specific time, you can go back and capture that information. So the product can really give you insight into how these components are working and have been functioning going forward. So as I said before, if you haven't done so already, please take advantage of our free trial. We also have other products that you can have access to within the Help Systems family, whether it's using a network automation tool like Automate to work with Intermapper to kind of create a self-healing scenario. We have that as well, but other Help Systems products that can help you in your day-to-day. So we have about 2 minutes left. If there's any questions, please feel free to send those questions in the chat window. And this recording will be provided and uploaded to our site as well. So if you want to extend to a colleague or anyone that you know that might be interested in our product, we encourage you to do so as well. Any questions? All right, guys. So if there's no questions, and please, if there's questions thereafter, if you think of any questions after the presentation is concluded, please feel free to send those questions to myself, and I'll be more than happy to assist. Thanks again. I really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.